Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the first ever SheFi office hours here on YouTube Live or wherever you're watching. This is Lotta Day, and I will be your host, and I'm super excited to welcome Maggie Love, who is the founder of SheFi. How's it going, Maggie?
It's going well. Really excited to be doing this live AMA, streaming on multiple platforms, and thank you so much for hosting it.
Yeah, of course. So, let's get right into it and let's start from the top. What is SheFi for anyone who's unfamiliar?
Yes. So SheFi empowers women and non-binary folks, professionals, executives to succeed in frontier technologies. And so we really focus on education, experimentation, and community in the areas of crypto, blockchain, and now we're adding artificial intelligence. So what SheFi strives to do is see what emerging technologies are out there and really support people with their career advancement through learning about them and through using them.
Amazing. And can you tell us a bit about the SheFi origin story?
Yes. So SheFi came to me in 2019. I had been in the crypto space since 2017. And then around 2019, this new set of use cases started cropping up called decentralized finance. And at the time, 99% of DeFi users were male and between the
Mm.
ages of 25 and 40. And I'm really passionate about financial inclusion and accessibility and education and financial literacy. And so when I saw this whole use case popping up, I looked at it and looked at the people using it and building it and contributing to it and realized that while crypto proclaimed inclusivity because it's permissionless technology, meaning that anybody can access it, it actually might exacerbate or make, larger the gender financial gap that we see in traditional finance and traditional tech. So the idea came to me in a conversation with a friend who mentioned they were playing the March Madness bracket. So a bunch of guys at Consensus, where I was working, had contributed money to a pool, and one person was going to win that pool if they picked the correct basketball team. So March Madness, you pick a basketball team to win, a bunch of teams play over the month, and then the winner gets the pot. And he mentioned in 2019, while they were doing this, that they put that pot of money into a DeFi protocol called Compound. Because if Compound had gotten hacked from a technical bug or otherwise, only one person was going to get that pot of money. So they had less attachment to that money. And that conversation really stuck with me. So that was in about like spring of 2019, where I was like, this is a great idea. Like getting people to play with DeFi with money they're not as attached to, like getting people comfortable with risk because, this isn't like a big pot of money or it's money they already agreed to give up. So I had that idea in the back of my head. And then I was actually on a run once and I was just playing with this like idea of like how to get women comfortable taking risks, playing with some money, putting it in decentralized finance. And just like all these words were like floating in my head. I was like, maybe we could do a bachelorette bracket, but I don't really watch TV. So like maybe that wouldn't work or, what could I do? And this idea sort of like maybe giving money to charity. So like agreeing to give up, 10 DAI or stable coins to charity and we could all put it in DeFi protocols. And anyways, I was like meditating on this DeFi, SheFi. The word SheFi just came out of thin air. And I was like, oh, I think I have to do this. And I went home and told my parents, I was like, I want to start a DeFi educational program and like teach women about this new finance and make sure that they not only know how to leverage it, but they know how to contribute to the ecosystem. They bring their perspectives and that we don't continue to leave people that have historically been excluded from the financial industry in this new financial paradigm. And they're like, okay, we caught about like half of what DeFi is, but we think that's a great name, so you should do it. So really from then I started building out what this educational program looked like, and it was anchored in decentralized finance back in 2019 and 2020 because that is, those were the use cases during the last bear market that looked like they were going to really take off. So I was like, oh, this will be easy. I'll do, MakerDAO, Uniswap, Aave. There's like 5 DeFi protocols, stable coins, and like that should be it. And, over time, as crypto's grown, so has SheFi.
I absolutely love that. I appreciate you giving the whole backstory. And you had mentioned some of this, but what are some pivotal moments that made you realize like how important it was to have this program?
Yeah. So, one pivotal moment was, I had this intuition in 2019. I looked around me, noticed all the men at Consensus were being put in the DeFi team, whether it was developing, marketing, operations, legal. The women at the time were not ushered into this new unit. So I had this gut feeling and I looked around crypto Twitter and just was like, I bet this is, mostly men, and there was just such this big opportunity to get in and be early and contribute and get comfortable because we're all learning in real time with crypto. So like why not bring people who are not typically in this ecosystem into it? So I looked around and that was like my gut feeling. And then right as I launched SheFi in April 2020 was actually when that report came out by CoinGecko. So it literally came out the day before I hit publish. It was like 99% of DeFi users are men between the ages of 25 and 40. So I was like, okay, that's one. Another really pivotal moment was I had been running SheFi for about 6 months publicly. My first public cohort was October 2020, and we had another cohort join at the beginning of 2021, and we could finally get together in 2021. So before that, SheFi was all virtual, all the community building was virtual, and then in about spring of 2021, we could like get together in smaller groups, and so we decided to have our first SheFi meetup in New York. And I don't want to dox who this person is, and I don't want to necessarily advocate for this, what people decide to do when they're empowered with information. But there was this one woman who said, Maggie, I have to tell you how much this program changed my life. I come from a very non-crypto industry. I took your course. I was able to get a job in the blockchain space, and I was able to divorce my husband and pay for my daughter's childcare. And
Whoa,
yeah, and
that's
that
iconic.
really and like I said, I'm not advocating for divorce, but I am advocating for education, empowering people to take that information and like reinvent themselves. So SheFi is about educating and coming to classes, but what blockchain has taught us is that we can reinvent value systems, business operating systems, who gets to own and contribute to things, right? So we are in this whole era of reinventing how businesses work, how agreements work, how value is created and distributed. And so really I try to string or thread that through SheFi, right? This is your chance to be reinvented as well. So it's not just about education, it's about reinventing how you see yourself. You can get into a tech industry, you can get into a finance adjacent industry. Like it's still very new. And yes, there are some experts out there, right? Deep cryptographers. But for the most part, people have the confidence to just figure it out, like our male peers, let's say. And so I really want to instill that confidence in women and help themselves reinvent, how they think about themselves professionally. And that was like a big second aha moment where at that time I was also wondering, like, how much is it that I just do the course and then like let the community kind of be an afterthought, or how much is it that I invest in the community and really become a community builder alongside an educator? And that moment was like when she told me that story, I had some tears, and I was like, there's something really impactful about not only teaching but then allowing women to get together in physical shared space and share their stories. And she was one of many stories talking about how excited they were, the opportunities they saw for themselves. And so that's also a really pivotal moment when I decided I wanted to also make sure I built a community beyond just providing courses.
I love that so much. And it sounds like, SheFi has definitely changed over the years. So can you speak more to the evolution?
Yes. So as I mentioned, SheFi is a play on the word DeFi or decentralized finance, because in 2019, those were the prominent use cases. So that was really, before that, there was a lot of ideas of what we could do on the blockchain. A lot of people had raised money through initial coin offerings, but there weren't tangible things we could really do on the blockchain other than get some ETH, send some ETH, wait to sell some ETH, or, if you had dabbled in crypto kitties, like buy an NFT or two. But DeFi was like, these are applications or use cases. You can actually use and put your money in and, actually interact on the blockchain with a use case. So that got me really excited because for the first time we could do more than just, get ETH and wait to do something with it. And so that was what had initially inspired me and just my financial literacy passion. And then, I started building this community, as I mentioned. And then in early 2021, people started asking me about non-fungible tokens. My community was like, what are NFTs? So I was like, don't worry, I got you, and started building a course on early NFTs. And then, we saw decentralized autonomous organizations come out, or DAOs, which is, how do we reinvent how organizations come together? Who owns the organization? Who makes decisions? Can we bring that out to a larger community? And that's a really, inspiring, I think, and energizing use case for many people. So then we got into decentralized autonomous organizations. And so really, while SheFi is a play on the word DeFi, it actually covers all emerging use cases. And I would like to say like foundational use cases being built on the blockchain. So we're continuing to evolve and grow up and change as, new topics become of interest. And so we're even adding an artificial intelligence course.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And AI will have an impact on our lives. I use AI like every day to supercharge all parts of my life, to supercharge creating, a more formal document I might not have the resource for on my own team, or to help me get through writer's block. And I actually, before blockchain, worked at IBM Watson. So I have a background in AI. And, there's, once again, just like blockchain, there's a dictionary. There is, words that mean concepts we probably know, but that word doesn't indicate that. So, right. So that's what a lot of SheFi is. It's like, hey, this word is something you might not have heard, but there's probably a concept that we can, relate it to, and you can understand what it is. So I'm not only going to teach about AI, but I'm going to give some tips and tricks of like tools that I think really supercharge your work, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether, you are in a larger corporation. And then talk about, of course, there is going to be this convergence of AI and blockchain. So that's something that I'm really excited about. And if you're in the SheFi community already, you can always come back and take our new courses. And if you're interested in AI, like I highly suggest you join the program in the community.
I love that so much. And I know you already touched on the introduction of AI, but what other new courses are you building out for season 9?
Yeah, so we've got a bunch of new courses. I laugh because after I finish a course, like let's say decentralized exchanges, and we talk about Uniswap, which is a prominent one, I'll think like, okay, this will never need tweaking again. And then Uniswap releases V4 and V3. And I'm like, oh gosh, we move so quickly in this space. But that's a good thing because once again, it means there's always new stuff coming out. And in terms of brand new courses, so I'm going to be doing a course on governance and public goods. And we're really going to be focusing on ENS DAO and what they do in the public goods space, and even how ENS, the Ethereum name service, so you can name your wallet address or name your domain, also works in the identity space as well, right? You're naming your Ethereum address. You're letting people know who you are on the blockchain. You're not just a string of letters and numbers.
Right.
So we're going to talk about governance. I think we're seeing a lot of activity right now when it comes to Gitcoin about like how are decisions made, like what's going on there. So we'll also take a look at like what were the early ideas of how we decided to let communities make decisions through decentralized governance. How is this evolving, and what does the future look like in different ways that we enable how many people get to make decisions. So I'm really excited about that. Because I do think there's a lot of exciting work being done. And we've seen some, not missteps, but some, grand ideas of what we thought decentralized governance could be. And like now we're kind of being a bit more real about it. We're going to touch on zero knowledge, right? So that is me being able to prove something about myself to you without you even having to know who I am or really anything about me. So like, if we were going to a music show together and let's say it was 18 plus, we could show the bouncer or whoever, the ticket checker, that, we were over 18, but they wouldn't need to know anything else. It would just say, yes, we were allowed to get in.
Right.
But that's also not only used for information privacy, but also scaling. So we'll talk about like which layer 2 blockchains that'll scale Ethereum. do zero knowledge. And then we're going to talk a lot about consumer crypto, which I know is a space that you're very familiar with. Right? So like, how do we actually build brands that are consumer owned? How do we continue to reward our consumers and turn them just from consumption to contributors or engaged in our brands? And so I'm really excited about that because that space has really taken off, whether it's from music entrepreneurs in the space or big brands, right? We're seeing a lot of traditional luxury fashion brands even moving into this space. So to sum it up, I'll be doing AI, governance, zero knowledge, and consumer crypto, in addition to the courses that we already have, or swapping some in and out depending on what is most relevant.
I love that. Awesome. And so let's say I sign up for SheFi today. What can I expect from the program?
Yes, let's say you sign up for SheFi today. You will enter through the SheFi portal, I'll say, through this 13-week course. And so you'll also get an introduction to everything else we offer. But we really try to say, when you first join SheFi, focus on the course, all of the accoutrement, all of the meetups, all of the extra, fun things we do as a community will be there forever. So what this looks like is you're going to sign up for classes. You'll get to choose between Monday, Wednesday classes or Thursday, Friday classes. Those will be at 2 different times. The commitment will be about 2 to 3 hours a week. So I like to break up the content so you're not totally overwhelmed. And I just jam pack like a giant session on wallets or consumer crypto in an hour and a half. And you're like, whoa, like that was a lot. And, this is my 9th time doing it. So I get a lot of feedback on like how people learn. So you'll come for class 1, we'll do like 80% of the content. We'll have some Q&A. And then class 2, we'll usually bring in a guest speaker. So for the stablecoins week, we brought in experts from Coinbase on USDC as an example. And then we'll do a little bit more content, and then we'll leave the rest of the time for Q&A. And with that second class, I never keep you longer than is needed. So if there's not a lot of questions, then we'll let you go early. So really, it's about 3 hours a week of programming. And then we give you a lot of additional information, which is up to you if you want to continue your learning. So we'll send you about 3 or 4 articles and a podcast that should be enriching the information that you learned in class. And one last thing, or a couple last things, we have step-by-step how-to guides, we have demos, and we have a lot of support for helping you do those activities. One thing I should say as well, so you have the content of the class, and then each week you have an activity to do. So let's just take the example of decentralized exchanges again. I'll teach decentralized exchanges. I'll show you how to swap on Uniswap, and then we're going to encourage you to swap on Uniswap. So through demos, how-to guides, and then even some perks if you actually complete that activity. Because I really think in this space that you can read and read and read and come to class, but things don't really click in your head until you mint that first music NFT or swap on Uniswap or post on a Web3 social app. So not only will you get the content each week live, the extra materials, you'll also get an activity to do. And if you're having trouble with that, we have a group of women that volunteer in our community called Guiding Lights. You can sign up and say like, I couldn't find, where to do this. I couldn't understand the mint process. And they will come meet with you one-on-one and they will help you through that. So really we try to provide different ways of learning. Some people like listening and watching class live. Some people like doing it on their own time after. Some people like just reading through slides. And then, if you need extra support, we always provide it. So it's a really robust program to help people, really feel confident. Like I said, build that confidence about what they're learning. And so it's about 3 hours a week, some additional time, and then, however long it takes you to complete that activity. Last thing I'll say is every 4 weeks, we do have a break. So every 4 weeks, you can catch up or you can just take a breather. And we can also make sure if you need additional help that you get it in that time. So that's really what the cohort or the class program is like for that 13 weeks.
Okay, awesome. So it's 13 weeks overall, but what does the time commitment look like?
Yes, 13 weeks overall and, about 3 hours a week. So, that's a decent amount of time. But, I think that we're trying to cover so much and really trying to make it as accessible and friendly as possible. And, I haven't yet found a perfect way to give you all this great information, give you like just enough technical understanding, enough why it matters, enough of the analogies so you can really understand the concepts in less than 3 hours, but I haven't done it yet. So about 3 hours a week for 13 weeks.
Amazing. Okay. And what should we, what are we expected to gain from participating in SheFi?
Yes. So, what you're going to gain from participating in SheFi is a deep understanding of the Web3 blockchain crypto space. So, as I mentioned, each course, we use a lot of memes, we try to make it very fun, but each course is going to go into, why this matters,
Mm-hmm.
what are the problems with the current industries we're disrupting, right? What's the problems with current finance? What's the problems with the current creator economy? Like, how are these creators treated on these big platforms? Like what is kind of the things we're trying to solve for in this space. So a lot of context. And then we're going to go into, what that use case is solving and how they're solving it, right? So how Lens Protocol, a Web3 social platform, I like to say they really take the creator economy to the creator driven economy, how they build tools to really empower creatives instead of the platform. We'll talk about, what that use case is solving. And then I'll also get into some of the technical stuff. So you're going to understand that you're interacting with smart contracts and if that smart contract is holding tokens or not. Because a lot of people had been burned by just watching YouTubes and clicking buttons. So I really want people to know what they're interacting with under the hood as well. Now, we will get to a time in this space where crypto is just embedded in everything, right? And we don't necessarily need to know what's going on under the hood. But really, SheFi is about accelerating women's career development. And so I think that, or if you really want to play in this space, you have to have a bit of that technical understanding. So context, why it matters, how it works at a pretty detailed level. And so if we're talking about staking, you'll understand how the proof of stake blockchain works, what's actually happening when you stake your tokens. We'll get to that level and, kind of like the promise that it enables or how it's being, how it's live and being used today. So you can really expect, like I said, to get that deep understanding, to feel very confident in your knowledge and to like understand the concepts, right? Like I said, there's this dictionary of all these words that a lot of engineers built, which is fine. We love our fellow engineers, but there is definitely better analogies and concepts that we're aware of that just need to be added to that word that we might not know. So you'll be really enriched and empowered with that knowledge. And my hope is you get that new job, become an entrepreneur, or get that, promotion at work, right? So we've had in the past people participate from Visa and then go on to do the whole NFT activation at the World Cup this year. So that's really what I'm trying to do, is give you that information so you can confidently go after what you want in the crypto blockchain space.
Amazing. And who is SheFi for?
Yes, that's another great question. So SheFi does aim towards newer people to the space. So you can come in and you can not know what a blockchain is. You can be like, oh, my partner tries to talk about it all the time. Like, I don't care about his NFT collection. What is even an NFT? You can come in starting at zero, and we will make sure that you have all the information, all the support, and all of the tools to become really confident, to be teaching him things, or him or her things, I should say. So, it really is aimed at new people. However, we get a lot of people from the crypto space who may be very focused in DeFi and don't really know about, let's say, like public goods
Mhm.
or NFTs, even because, they're very specific. They're like a designer at a DeFi protocol and they're very busy, right? You have to design your DeFi protocol every day. So they're like, wait, there's all these other use cases and I haven't had a time to really dive in.
Right.
Or we have people who are maybe in the blockchain group at a larger company. And so they might know some of the beginning stuff, like what are blockchains? What is the Ethereum virtual machine? What is, some of these, like what are wallets, right? They've interacted with wallets, but they're like, oh, I've never actually made a DeFi transaction, or
Yeah.
I haven't really figured out how like a Web3 social protocol could really give me creator tools. So, there's something in there for everyone, depending on where you are in your journey. And we recommend that you sign up for every class in the course over 13 weeks, but we give you all the classes to sign up for. So if you're like, hey, I'm going to skip blockchain 101 or becoming a blockchain baddie, as we call it, and I'm going to skip wallets. But really, when we get into the DeFi overview or stable coins, because I wanted to learn about PYUSD, that's PayPal's new stable coin, and haven't had a chance, I'm going to sign up for all of those classes. So we start kind of like easing into the curriculum with the blockchain 101, but then, over time, we quickly ramp up to the more advanced use cases.
And so what does SheFi offer outside of the course?
Yeah, so like I said, when I started gathering with the community, I was like, oh, I cannot not gather with these women and, continue to find ways to really build community around, not just a course, but around this collective idea that we can reinvent ourselves and we can do it in a shared space with other women, and that we don't have to do things alone, right? That's a big crypto mantra, like do your own research.
Right.
But this was a group of people that were like, let's do research together.
Yeah.
If I ask a question in Discord and I don't know the answer, I'm willing to go Google and see if I can help this other member, figure out the answer. Like it's a teamwork. And so decided that, okay, let's figure out more ways to support the community. So we offer once a month virtual talks with experts. So this is kind of a break from that to do the AMA, but we have a Web3 security panel coming up, and we have a lot of great experts coming in virtually once a month to share their expertise with our community and the broader community. We have clubs that have emerged in SheFi. So we are not a DAO, but there are many DAO-like things we do, which is once you have this giant network, and so SheFi's are on 1,700 members today, you can find your people to go explore things within the space. So we have a technical club, and that's led by a more technical member, but it can be for all members who are interested in, like, how do I even get started on GitHub? How do I write this thing in Solidity? What are interesting boot camps coming up, and bringing in guest speakers. And then we have an investment club, which is never investment advice, I will say, but it's a group of about 5 women who rotate, and they all, had someone come in and talk about investing with a money mindset in the bear market. They talked about staking the other week, and we'll have another session on just like broader, like how do I even think about a token investment without actually necessarily telling people what to invest in, of course. And so we have a few of those cropping up. Another one that's starting to crop up is like an empowerment circle. We have a lot of coaches in SheFi. And so, people just really want to start giving back to the community. So you can come in and join one of these clubs and share your expertise with the community. And then another thing we have are local chapter leads. So SheFi is actually in 50 plus countries. And
no way.
Yeah, so we decided that this year, the getting together shouldn't just be revolving around when Maggie's in a town or a city. And so we, asked who wanted to be a local chapter lead. And so we have them, New York, San Francisco, LA, Mexico City, Lagos, Istanbul, Paris. We're getting a nice hub in Singapore. And really what those local chapter leads do is just get people together in person, and usually around a certain topic, but sometimes just casually. So that's been really great to see those relationships being built locally, and people have even gotten jobs from just going to their local SheFi hangout. So that's something exciting. And then just a lot of programming and support. The final thing I'll mention, I know we're going to get into this, is the latest expansion of our offering is the SheFi Summit. So really excited to share a bit more on that, but that's our latest SheFi offering for the community.
I love that. And I know you had mentioned that essentially people who are part of SheFi end up working in all types of places following the cohorts. So can you name some of those places?
Yes, we have people working at Coinbase, MakerDAO, the Rary Foundation, Super Rare. We even have people at Urbit. We have people, at Stellar, at Polkadot, Chainlink, really all over the Web3 ecosystem. And so something that I try to do is I joke that I have, I can't really necessarily, I don't have money to like invest in female startups, but I have a lot of social capital.
Yet.
We're working on it. We're scheming with some friends.
Yeah.
So right now I have social capital. So I'm very happy to make introductions to anybody in the space. So our jobs channel in Discord is very active. I'll post ones that I see. Right now there's I think it's like a chief of staff role at Mona, which is the metaverse company. And so I'm very close to the founders. So we post it in our newsletter and then Discord. And if people ask me to send an intro, I just send it. So I really try to, it's so easy for me to do that. Just like you might write me the blurb, attach your resume.
Yeah.
I'll write a couple sentences and we're good to go. So like I said, that career advancement is really important. And if you take the course, you can speak the language of the person that's interviewing you. You'll know about their protocol or their use case. And so we're trying to set you up for success. And then that extra, hey, I know this person's a part of our community, also helps, because people in this space do have a very high reputation of SheFi from the wonderful members who go out and join their companies. And the last thing I'll say is we love community engagement. I want people to stay involved in SheFi, but what I really want is you to go out and get a job somewhere else and to increase our impact. And then you can hire a women or non-binary folk, to your company. So, I want you to bring people to SheFi, but I also want to make sure that I'm helping you broaden our impact. If we were just trying to stay very insular, like always keeping you just engaged right in SheFi, I don't think we'd be able to make like the impact that we're seeing. And it's just really incredible to go to, a big event like Consensus and see members like at the different booths representing their company after they've been through the course. And members even go on to CoinDesk, which puts together Consensus. So we really have a broad reach, and I do my best to spend those extra couple minutes a day sending off resumes and blurbs to hiring managers or friends at companies.
I love that. That's so awesome. And I know you touched on this a little bit earlier, but can you talk more about the SheFi Summit?
Yes. So as I said, SheFi Summit is our latest offering in the space. I was at Ethereum DevCon last year in Bogota, and a SheFi member named Jules Waring came up to me and she was like, I'm going to help you throw more in-person events. And I was like, amazing. Like, I would love that. Like, I love curating the programming. I love getting people together. Finding venues, not my strong suit always globally. But that really started getting my wheels turning. Like we had done, happy hours, hangouts at different conferences. But, again and again, we see at events, all male panels.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's 2023 and there's all male panels.
Yeah.
And there's so many femme experts out there, right? Female identifying experts. And, I think it's always great to have spaces to talk about being a woman in Web3, but that's not the only panels we should be on.
Right.
So I was like, I'm going to curate an event of all female experts. We're not going to talk about being a female. If you want to go ask somebody in person as it relates to, something you're going through, of course, we don't want you to ever hide anything about who you identify as. But this was just going to be like, I was like, I'm going to put the best experts in the space on stage. And the only men on stage will be moderating panels, a little role reversal there. And we were like, well, let's test it. ETHCC, which was in Paris, is a very big event usually. And, it has the right type of experts already going to that because they're at a protocol attending. And so we did it in Paris. It was outstanding, like success beyond my wildest dreams. And I'm sure, as you know, when you're putting together events, there's all those little voices in your head like, will this work out? And some really exciting numbers from that. So we use Token Proof, which is a Web3 ticketing platform. And we had over 300 people come to the event and scan in. And we had 300 lanyards that were given away by lunchtime. And then what we tried to do with the SheFi Summit and what we'll continue to build on is not only coming to hear talks, but using Web3 native tools throughout the day. So we used Converse AI to message each other instead of Telegram. That's enabled by XMTP, Web3 messaging. We have POAPs for every single talk, and then a rewards structure built around that. And at the SheFi Summit, over 626 POAPs were minted. So every talk, people would pull out their app, mint a POAP, and it would earn them different things. So we had a lot of digital merch we gave away. We did a merch collab with Lens. So that was a physical and digital giveaway. We had a Xerion physical digital giveaway. And then we had these great t-shirts made for SheFi. And if you stayed, I think for, 8 of the 10 talks, you would get a free shirt. And we gave them all away, like 100 something shirts. So we had like high attendance, and really what people say is that the talks were incredible, highly curated, and people sat and stayed all day. Something else, which this is a pro tip for event organizers, I did not let people talk in the back. If I heard you talking during,
Right.
I told you to be quiet, and we had
Yeah.
a separate room for talking, because we know we all want to talk and network, but
Yeah.
we
I
need to
love
kind
that.
of separate. So some exciting things about SheFi Summit. We'll be doing a mini SheFi Summit at DevConnect coming up in Istanbul. So probably not a full day of programming, but maybe like a half day, and then hanging out at a hammam after, getting our gal pals and like kind of thinking about what we heard, and, a fun space together, and like relaxing a bit. And then for 2024, we've been invited by Consensus to throw a SheFi Summit, and we'll definitely be back at Denver. So I think this is really the next evolution of SheFi, is continuing to bring content, let other voices speak, not just me educating, and really have it be all female experts leading the way. And so you'll never see a manel at a SheFi Summit. And we'll try to make it very engaging. So if you're at a crypto product and you want people to use your application, if it can be integrated into our day, we'll definitely want to talk about that. So we want people learning, experimenting, connecting in more Web3 native ways at these summits.
I love it. And so we're getting a little bit of a peek of what's going to be happening at SheFi Summit, but can you talk more about the plans for SheFi Summit in 2024?
Yes. So as I mentioned, we'll continue to bring these all over the world. I believe we'll do about 4 next year. So
Wow.
right now, the tentative, yeah, I know. It
Ambitious.
honestly, very ambitious. But I think it's hard because we just want to include, we were in Paris and people were like, oh, I just couldn't make it there. And so we want to make sure
Aw.
our friends all over the globe get a chance to do it. And what we'll do is we'll partner with existing, events. Like for an example, we had Erica Kang. So she organizes Crypto Soul. And so she was like, let's bring this to Seoul. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. I don't know if we're going to Seoul. Like I said, we'll probably be at Denver, which is, always a very well-attended conference. We're considering Consensus in Austin. We'll probably do ETHCC again. That's going to be in Belgium next year. And then, we'll pick another one in the fall. But I would love to have just more geographical distribution. So that's kind of what we're aiming for. So if you enjoyed the summit, we actually have a Telegram group that you can join globally, and you can kind of go in the different channels based on geography and meet other members that are going to be there, or, see just what's going on in the event space. So I'm excited about that.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Maggie, for sharing all this information about SheFi. Now we're going to have a SheFier share her program testimonial. So let's have her come on up. Hi, Linda.
Hi, Linda.
So excited it's my turn.
So talk to us about yourself and your SheFi experience.
Yes. Well, I was listening and smiling because it wasn't even a year ago. I was in cohort 7, I think it was, not even a year ago. And when I look back at how my life has changed for the better because of SheFi, it blows my mind. I actually took notes because there's so many things I want to say. The first thing to say is just do it. Like if you're on the fence, just do it, because this is the most incredible community and education you could give yourself to learn what's happening in the world. Like this isn't just techie stuff. This is our world. Every area of our world is going to change because of this technology. And you want to know, you want to be on top of it. And there is just, this entire experience is stellar. It's fun. It's impactful. So my life changed dramatically because I was running my own company in the Web 2 space, as it's called, knew nothing about this whole Web 3 thing. You don't have to know anything. They'll take you by the hand. And there's so much information, but you just digest what you can, and you don't need to get overwhelmed. And apparently it's all still there. I think I'm going to do cohort 9 because there's so much new stuff. But by the middle of that first couple of months, I was like, I've got to get into this. I've got to so I did. I shut down my business, and I am a little older than most people in the space. I thought, how the heck am I going to get a job in Web3? Well, not only did I get a job, I got a job, I got a consulting gig. I just jumped in whole hog, and it has been amazing. Absolutely amazing. What else? Oh, there was this one point where this company wanted to pay me in crypto. I'm like, Maggie, what do I do? What? How do I receive it? Where is it? What do
Been there.
Yep. Took me by the hand, and I felt like such a big girl, because now I have like an account over here with some crypto, and sometimes I convert it into US dollars, but mostly I want to play with it. It's so empowering to be part of this community and to learn these skills. And it doesn't matter if you don't have time or if you're feeling overwhelmed. Just take a slice, just take a little bite, and your life will it'll just take off. So that's my overall. Oh, and also, if anybody wants to contact me, Maggie, I just sent you my Twitter feed. So just DM me, and I'm happy to hop on the line and just tell you more about my experience or what I think of SheFi. The in-person events are to die for. I'm in the New York area. Those are amazing. But you don't need to do that. That's just icing on the cake. And so education is fun. It's a crash course in Web3. Community is off the charts. Jobs are, Maggie really does introduce you to people. It's incredible. And yeah, okay. So I'll push my button off, my off button. I could keep going.
I love it. No, it's so good.
Yeah. Just do it. And it's the best money you could invest in yourself and in your future. So, and it's honestly, I keep saying to Maggie, it's too cheap. Like, it's just, and not to be disrespectful of those who, that's a lot, but seriously, I've been in the online education space for a long time. You can't even, it's like
priceless.
It's absolutely priceless, and it's incredibly affordable. So, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Linda. I appreciate it. And Maggie, how does it hearing all that? Like, I know you're kind of like in the weeds, like.
I'm just smiling so big right now, not only from the review, but once again, it's just hearing these women's stories like Linda that, okay, where do I get started? I know there's something in this space. This is happening around me. Brands are integrating with it. Reddit's integrating with it, or, like maybe even some larger beauty brands, but like, how do I get involved? And there's just too much information out there. Every day, there's, people that do rug pulls, there are just people that have YouTube channels that aren't always, looking to actually empower people. They have their own agenda. And so what I love hearing is people being like, there's something here. I don't know where to get started. Let me try this course, just try it. Like, if I don't end up liking the course, like, contact Maggie, we'll work something out. But then going from like, I knew there was something here, I decided to take the big jump, I joined this course, and now I'm accepting payments in crypto, and I have multiple gigs. And, Linda's always out there meeting people and supporting other members of our community too. So it really just makes me smile because it's amazing to hear people's stories and just know that we're improving the space with every women or non-binary folk that decides to come in and bring their expertise and their background to shape it. We're doing much better than in 2019 and 2020 when it was 99% males from the ages of 25 to 40. We need all these different perspectives. We need all these different backgrounds. We need people from all walks and stages of life if we really want to build this global technology in a intentional way. So that just makes me so happy. And like, SheFi's fun for me. Like, people are like, how do you keep doing it? How are you on cohort 9? Well, like, opening a Zoom to a group of women, whether it's at 8:30 in the morning Eastern or 5:30 p.m. all over the world, right? Some people are getting ready for bed and have their tea. Some people are getting up for the day and have their coffee. People have their kids with them. People have their teenage daughters with them. So it's just, you can't even, it's like dopamine, just like seeing all these excited faces and hearing their thoughtful questions and knowing how engaged they are. So I could keep doing this over and over. And I guess that's why I still am. So,
and Maggie, that's what's amazing. Usually in online education stuff, you don't get the founder teaching the classes. You're going to get a video that was made 2 years ago. And the fact that you're still doing this is incredible. And most of you don't know what a hot shit Maggie is in the space. Like, she is a big deal. So it's just incredible. And the sisterhood is phenomenal. Everyone wants to pitch in and help and refer. And it's very rare in this world to have such sacred sisterhood. So.
Aw. Thank you so much, Linda, for sharing. I'm touched by that, honestly.
Yes, I'm always excited when I get a chance to preach about SheFi.
Thank you so much, Linda.
Well, the proof is in the pudding. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Linda. I appreciate you. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
And we can bring Linda back up if we see questions in the chat that are geared towards Linda. So if you're watching this, I have the chat up. So if you have any specific questions for Linda, we can bring her back up on stage.
Amazing. So how about we get into a short Web3 101 course teaser? That's actually the first course, right? About Web3 and blockchain.
Yes.
So I'm going to throw a couple of questions your way. We're going to get into it. Maggie, what is Web3?
Yes. So the reason I love this question is last year we saw a lot in the news that, Web3 is just marketing, or maybe, on Twitter, people just being like, Web3 is just marketing. They're just, when's Web 4, Web 5 coming?
Right.
But Web3 is actually the new internet, right? And it's more than one thing. You have to think of Web3 as this, like, it encompasses, it's like the shell, the thing around an ecosystem of these decentralized blockchain-based protocols, applications, and networks. And something that's different about them than Web 2 is these items are collectively owned and operated by a global community of participants who are aligned through incentives and economic mechanisms like tokens. So, right, Web3 is not just one thing. It's this collection of blockchains, networks, applications, and that are owned by a community. And that can be a community of nodes running a network. That can be a community of members in a DAO. So really, that's what it is. You can think of it as all these different things I'm going to teach you, that they work all together to be Web3. So it's not just one thing, it's everything within the ecosystem that is contributing to this new internet.
I love that. And why is Web3 important?
Yes. So the really exciting thing about Web3, and this was actually coined by Chris Dixon, Web 1 was read. So, right, there was like magazines on the internet and we could look at them. That was basically all you could do. Web 2 ushered in the social web, so we could actually interact with each other finally. So now we can post, I guess we're not tweeting at each other anymore, but we could post and comment posts and, have that interaction. So that's what we call the read-write internet, because writing just means we could like do something basically on the internet. We could write things on it. And then what Web3 does is it introduces ownership. So now you have a read, write, own. That's the Chris Dixon quote, internet. And for the first time over the internet, we can transfer value. So we've always been able to transfer information, but now we have that information atomically attached to value. That's how we have digital collectibles. It's, sending digital currencies. All of this we used to have to pay, or the value was separate. So in Web 2, if you wanted to, own something digital, your payment would be on a totally different system. And now every item in the Web3 space has some type of value attached to it. So we can send value across the internet, and therefore we can truly own things on the Web3 internet. And what's exciting about that is it's really what started inspiring all these builders, that the internet doesn't just have to be owned by a few big companies. We won't name names, but there's, a few giant internet companies that really own the traffic, own how the internet works, change the rules on us. And the exciting thing about Web3 is a community of participants could own, because of this, digital ownership in the form of currencies at first, but we have different items now as well. So How could we look at the internet if it was owned by the people building the internet, by the people using the internet? How could we incentivize collective ownership through tokens and blockchain protocols, and not just have an internet that a few own who determine all the rules? And so this ownership is the defining feature and why Web3 got so many of us excited.
Amazing. So you touched on this a little bit, but can you speak more to the concept of decentralization?
Yes, I think it's great to think about decentralization in frame it in the context of centralization. So we all know what centralization is. There's a single point of control. In an organization, it's a single decision maker. In a more technical system, it's, the single thing that processes all the information. Centralization means one single point of control of information, of decision making, of, in traditional bankings, it's transaction processing. And so decentralization is how do we take that central point and move it out to many? How do we do decision making, power, control, transaction processing? How does that spread to many and not just one? So decentralization is taking power, decision making, different activities and giving it to many, not just putting it all in one bucket or one place. So on a blockchain network like Ethereum, all the transactions are processed by many, many nodes, right? In a banking system, there's let's say there's one payment processor. In a blockchain network, there's hundreds of thousands of nodes doing that activity together. Decentralization, many taking part to get an activity done. In decentralized autonomous organizations and in governance, which we're going to cover, it's how do we make decision making? How do we do decision making as a community? How do we have many voices, many ideas come together and get something done? Which we're learning can be challenging, right? There could be benefits to centralization, but decentralization is just how much is the power or control or decision making in a system or activity spread to many participants. So many, not one.
Fire. And so why is Web3 called the ownership economy?
Yes, so I touched into that a bit, but because we have blockchains and tokens, people can finally own items on the internet. And so really exciting things is, you could think about that in just your digital currencies in your wallet. Let's say you own that. No one else can access your wallet but you. So that's really exciting because that's a new paradigm of financial sovereignty, which I think is incredibly important for women. But ownership also in your data. So we are so used to giving away our birthday, the color of our eyes, just so much social security number, just put it all on the internet, put it in Web2. I'm going to need to give you all this information to get a basic service, right? And in Web3, because of the way blockchain protocols are architected, you can actually keep your data about you as well. And you can choose when you want to share that. And, with all these new privacy technologies coming out, you don't even have to share a lot of that to prove a specific item to get you access to something. So, we're thinking about owning our data. With Web3 social, you actually own your social graph. So your social graph is, who you're connected to, right? We're following each other on Twitter. We are on each other's graphs. But right now, Twitter owns that. You can't see that. And think about how much power and knowledge is in knowing your social graph. And then if we wanted to leave Twitter and go to Threads or somewhere else,
you got to do it all over again.
You have to rebuild your whole social graph. In Web3, on Lens protocol, you actually get to take that social graph and use it on whatever social app is built on top of that protocol. And we'll get into that if you're not very familiar with those words. And so we're really not just talking about financial ownership, which is really important, but ownership of your data, ownership of your Web3 social information, really ownership of everything that is attached to you out there. And really also then designing systems where you don't have to give it all away in order to do something, right? Super exciting to use finance in Web3, to use social in Web3. You just need a wallet. So you can be somebody entirely else. You don't even have to be you, right? We're going to be in the metaverse and we're all going to be different types of people and creatures and whatnot. And that's totally doable.
Awesome. And can you speak to what tokens are and the differences between tokens and cryptocurrencies?
Yes. So when we think about cryptocurrencies, we're thinking about the use case of money, right? So Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is really this use case for financial value. So while tokens and digital currencies and just digital items in general are all digital things on the internet, currencies really have this use case of money, whereas tokens really have I like to call it a broader value use case. So tokens
Hmm.
can be membership in a community. Tokens can be non-fungible tokens. Tokens can be physical assets that are, modeled on the blockchain in the form of this data structure, which is a token. So really, currencies, store value, digital money, tokens, much broader, much richer, landscape almost to identify certain things on the blockchain through tokens.
Amazing. And you briefly mentioned this, but what is an NFT?
Yes, non-fungible token. Yes, so a non-fungible token, right? So it's a token. It is a digital item that is issued and managed on a blockchain, and it can be a variety of use cases. It can be art, music, real world assets, more complex financial products. And something that is important to know about non fungible tokens is they are one of one. So each non fungible token is unique and you can prove the ownership. So it's provably unique and you can also prove the ownership. And so that's, different than fungible tokens like Ethereum. You can easily swap between Ethereum, non-fungible tokens, one of a kind. There'll only be one of that token in existence, even if it is in a bigger collection.
Awesome. And I think that is all that we have for now. That was an amazing teaser to what that first course looks like.
Yes, thank you so much for hosting. I
Yeah.
will, if you have more questions, feel free to email us, DM us on Twitter, LinkedIn. Fevin has been in there managing the chat. Just reach out to us. So on Twitter, we're she__fi. And so you can find us there. An inbox where you can get all your questions answered is social@shefi.org. So if you go there, Fevin and I both monitor that and we will get back to you as soon as possible. But really, wherever you can find us on social media, you can ask us questions and we're really happy to answer any of them. So thanks again for hosting this first ever live AMA. It was a lot of
Of
fun.
course. Yeah, this is awesome. And shout out to everyone who is joining SheFi Cohort 9.
Yes, thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye.